I've had so many life changes in the last 12 months, 18 months, and I've had so many breaks in this podcast that you think that I was running this thing on seasons, but that was not my intention. And so as we all of us experience life changes, I feel like there's this assumption, and all those assumptions are always internal, right? But there's this expectation, internal, sometimes external, to keep pushing forward, right? And that is the answer. But how you push forward is just as important. And I've always had, and I generally don't like to use very, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but hard line, like everything all the time. I don't like using those words, but I feel in this case it's appropriate, because as far as I can remember, for me, consistency's been an issue. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We could talk for hours, and I probably should talk to a counselor about that. But I remember in middle school, my art teacher giving feedback to my mom, and my mom telling me that your art teacher says you have amazing ideas, but you never finish your projects. And so, yeah, like I feel like going as far back as I can remember, I've had issue with consistency. And even when I'm trying to do a coaching business, or I'm trying to do a podcast, or social media, consistency is key. And I've heard that from anybody who's been successful. Define success however they want, or however you want. But consistency is key. More important than what you post is how often you post, and the consistent message, and how you present yourself, right? So the message is important, but two very important podcast episodes is probably going to be less important than weekly content that's going to be engaging over a long period of time, right? Okay, so it's a long-winded way of saying that consistency has been an issue for me, but over the last 12 to 18 months, it's been even more so because of the changes, personal and professional, that I've experienced. And I thought that this was a good time to try to roll back into having conversations. And I'm still trying to figure out what that's going to look like, but I figured the best way to do it would just be to talk through it. And so here I am talking through it with you, so you can understand where I'm at and where I'm going with this. So I struggled for several years at the end of my Air Force career, looking for a new career, trying to figure out what I want to do. Do I want to do a business? Do I want to, try to do government contracting? Do I want to try to get a job? So I tried a little bit of each. I tried building a coaching business. I got my federal contracting ID. I was filling out resumes and searching for jobs that I felt like I was fully qualified for. And I just was not getting anywhere. I couldn't get anyone to hire me. I could barely get anybody to call me back. And it was really, really difficult, because after being in the military for so long and having so many opportunities, I wasn't used to, they weren't even doors slammed in my face. The doors weren't even opening. And so it's very, very frustrating. And so I had to just keep pushing. And lucky, blessed, whatever the word is you want to use, I've got an amazing partner in Cindy, and she has been there to support me and encourage me, and sometimes carry me, and I'm very thankful for her, because I'm not sure where I would be without her. I certainly wouldn't be this happy. That's almost a guarantee. But trying to figure out where I go from here. I finished up my Air Force career. I taught 2 years at Grand Canyon University. I volunteered with the rugby team as their mental performance coach. All great experience. All loved it. very few experiences are bad. And in this case, the experience was great. The pay was not. But to get where I want to go, I just needed to do what I could with what I had. And so I did. And then, I want to say it was April earlier this year, 2024, coming to an end. Jeez, where we go? I got a call from a contracting company who asked if I wanted to come fill this role as a cognitive performance specialist. It's a dream job. It was so cool. So, cognitive performance specialist for Air Force student and instructor pilots in New Mexico. So working with F-16 pilots and MQ-9 pilots and sensor operators. And my job was, as part of the larger human performance team, to be a cognitive performance specialist. So I took the job. The only downside of it was my family stayed here in Phoenix in the house. I moved to New Mexico, got a second place. I would come back every opportunity that I had, or they would come out to visit me, which made things definitely more bearable. Cindy was on board with it. She was completely on board, and she supported every minute of it. She didn't like it, but she supported it. She knew it's what I needed. It was, and I kept telling her, up until that happened, I just need a win. Man, and even just saying it now, it still hits me hard in how bad I needed a win. Personally, professionally, I don't downplay the gratitude that I have for Cindy and the boys and the life that we live. I really am blessed, and I know that a lot of people roll their eyes when people say stuff like that. But I am. I've got a great relationship. The boys are amazing. We have a great family unit. We have an amazing house, very basic house in this, amongst all these massive houses that I don't want. I want a pretty basic house. And so I've got a lot of gratitude for my experiences. At the same time, I needed something for me. I needed a win. And so this job gave me that win, and it was a massive win. To go and to be a cognitive performance specialist, a mental performance coach for F-16 fighter pilots, students and instructor pilots. And I know I made a massive impact. It was amazing. I loved the experience. I loved the freedom. I love the application, but also the ability to kind of massage things and try some things out, test some boundaries. And really, by the time I left in December, earlier this month, I had so many people that were basically saying, we understand. You got to go home to your family. We understand, but this sucks. And I even had a couple coworkers who are like, we're just going to keep reminding you of the cool stuff we're doing here. Hopefully you'll change your mind and you'll stay. And there was zero chance that I was going to stay, but it felt good to be wanted and know that I made such a massive impact. And so I come home and I get offered a job right around Thanksgiving. Company that I had been applying for to work in their learning and development office, doing leadership development and assessments, called me, and after a year, from the almost to the day from my first phone call with them, it was almost a year to the day that they finally offered me a job. A whole different story. My boss and I have now laughed about it. I can laugh about it now, but super frustrating. It was one of those things. It was when I was first declined for one of the jobs. It was crushing. It was crushing to me. It was pretty difficult. And so they finally called me back. I considered it. We decided it was the right thing. It's a great company, working for a children's hospital in Phoenix, and doing leadership assessments. So essentially I go from being a performance coach for pilots to being a performance coach trainer for doctors that are caring for children. So it doesn't take a lot to really see the value and find out how I'm going to buy into this, even though it's a different scenario. Like, one was military and all the excitement that I've been looking for. Now I go to more of a corporate training setting, which is definitely going to be different, but I'm really, really looking forward to it because of the mission, because of the importance of what the organization as a whole does. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm back home in Arizona, And I see where's that opportunity that I talk about, the opportunity of, well, now rather than working in a gym and having a 10 to 15 minute commute, I'm now looking at minimum on a good day, like today, 35 minutes without traffic, because it's just after Christmas. But as you can imagine, when there is traffic, I could be looking upwards of 50 to 60 minutes if I get unlucky with my timing or accidents or backups or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out, so I can do some audiobooks, I can listen to some podcasts. There's that opportunity. So I can now potentially, maybe upwards, if I'm working Monday through Friday, upwards of 10 times a day opportunity to do some recordings. And so I'm looking at that. I've got a couple friends that I'm looking at recording some podcasts with, and being the creative idea guy, I don't want to start something and then not finish it. So that's my challenge right now, is to find out where's the greatest opportunity for me to make the biggest impact. I've got the Amped Mental Performance podcast is going, and I feel like that's the one that I need to really, really focus on. I'm moving from, I'll probably keep it on Libsyn, which means you're going to get all the audio podcasts, but then I'm going to move a lot of my stuff to my YouTube channel. I had it as just my name, Life of Neil, or Neil Wattier, but I've decided to kind of modify the things that I'm doing, because I don't want to just do leadership and resilience. It's more of a holistic life balance approach, right? So if I'm going to do that, why would I only talk to you about one part of my life? I want to share a lot of what I do. So I changed it to Life of Neil to show that, hey, this is me struggling and challenged with all these things that I'm trying to do, from wellness and resilience and leadership and cognitive performance, relationships and finance and adventure and all the things that I want to do. But how do I include all that stuff? So I'm going to keep doing the Amped Mental Performance podcast, which will primarily focus on the cognitive performance stuff, the resilience that has been. And then I will, I'm going to post that on the podcast and keep that going, but it'll also be a playlist of videos on the YouTube channel. I'm also going to do this been playing around with TikTok. I think it can be fun. I know it's super popular, and I don't think it would be that difficult to also adapt what I'm doing to TikTok. But I'm not going to go much further than that. I know there's Twitter, X, there's Instagram, there's Facebook is more of just like my family stuff. So like, unless I'm going to do like a group coaching thing, maybe Facebook. But for now, it's audio podcast, it's YouTube, it's TikTok, and I think that's manageable. And I think that, and the more I have conversations with people, the more this stuff just comes out, and I'm getting much better at it. A lot of people say, "Oh man, you're this leadership development and cognitive performance expert," and I hesitate to use that word, but other people are referring to me as that. Okay, cool. But I also want to make sure that I'm not complacent. I still have things to learn. So this is going to be, it's a continuation of my journey that I'm sharing with you, that I hope that you're going to learn from, and that we can end up learning together. And so that's my goal, is to be more consistent. That's my 2025 goal. I have this awesome job. All I got to do is follow through. Like, really, that's it. All I got to do is follow through on my job. And do the great things that I know how to do. So I'm gonna really focus on that. I'm gonna immerse myself in my job during the hours. When I'm not at work, I'm not gonna be at work. I don't need to be that anymore. And then, so where does that lead me? Is my drive time? I can do the Amped podcast. I can do some more funny, lighthearted videos. I can do conversations with friends while I'm driving. Why wouldn't I? And so I got some exciting things that I'm going to be doing with some friends. I'm going to follow up with them here in a couple days to talk some more about those things and try to put those together. But if you're listening to the podcast, keep following the podcast. I'm going to be posting more episodes, and what exactly that looks like, I'm not really sure yet. It could be very much just like this. Well, up until now, there's been a lot of scripted stuff that I've been doing, but that's also because I wanted to communicate very clear things. And I might do some of those. It might be maybe a 2-day a week, or maybe every week, but every other week is the different style. Maybe, 1 week I'm doing a very scripted lesson, and the other day I'm doing more of an impromptu conversation while I'm driving. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I appreciate your time today, and appreciate you subscribing and supporting me, and being here and just listening, and hopefully you being here and supporting me, but also hopefully some of the things that I'm talking through and I'm experiencing and I'm sharing with you are going to be very beneficial for you. For the longest time, and I know I did the Champion Stepdad for a while, and I think it's run its course. I think that the stuff that we talk at Champion Stepdad can just be discussed here. I don't think there necessarily needs to be a private group for that. Maybe I'll start it up again. I don't want to think about that right now, right? So keep it simple, be consistent, and that's where I need to place my effort. So check out, keep following, right, and share with anybody else that you think might get value from this podcast, this audio podcast, whatever platform you're listening on. Check out Life of Neil on YouTube and TikTok, and hit me up on those. I'm going to try to start doing some more consistent stuff, and see where this goes. A little bit of life, a little bit of adventure, a little bit of leadership and mental performance, some adventure. We're going to go out in the desert and explore with my new 4Runner, back in a 4Runner, and I'm loving it. But I also got a drone the other day, and I'm going to have some fun with that too. So it's just kind of that life, love, personal, professional, adventure, fitness, health, masculinity, like all the conversations that matter, especially to men. Of course, ladies, you're more than welcome to join the conversation, because I think there's a lot that we can discuss together to help each other become better. And so with that, I got more of a drive, but kind of out of things to talk about right now, and I don't want to just sit here and ramble on. So appreciate you. I appreciate you listening, you following, supporting, and all those things. And I look forward to whatever 2025 brings us. I'm going to really put some effort into this and try to make this a very simple but effective message. And hopefully we'll have some great adventures.